Hey everyone, Mah-Dry-Bread here. Pokemon Fire Red with only one Clamperl was a fun run with a Pokemon that I've never used before. Let's follow that up with another Pokemon that I've also never gotten to try. Today's the day that we figure out would I be able to beat Pokemon Platinum with a team of only one Pachirisu. Alright, so I know almost nothing about Pachirisu, so we're looking at this together. Looks like our stats are higher than a lot of first form Pokemon, but only by a little bit. High speed, special defense, and even decent defense, but our attacking stats are both pretty low. I like that we can take a bit of a hit, but defense is not usually quite as useful as attack in these solo runs. By level up, we don't really get much that I like. Spark and Discharge are decent moves, Swift could be useful, and we can probably get some use out of Super Fang against some super tanky Pokemon late in the run. By TM though, we don't really have a lot of type variety. Thunderbolt is one that I'm for sure getting, Grass Knot can probably save us against Bertha, so I'm for sure getting that. Dig might also be worth it for the Electric Gym. We can get a decent enough moveset by the end. Like always, I'm writing this script as I go through with the challenge, so this part is being written before I've started. Everyone comment down below and guess if I can win or not. Well, I couldn't get a win with Shinx in this game, but we were really frail in that one. I think that we're just tanky enough that we could get a win somewhere between level 90 and 100. I really can't imagine that Cynthia's Garchomp is gonna go well, though. Let's explain the rules. In combat, I can only use Pachirisu. I'll need other Pokemon to use HMs, but I won't be allowed to use any of those Pokemon in battle. No glitches or exploits, no items in battle, only Pokeballs, held items, and items outside of combat are allowed. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more. Let's do this. So, right off the bat, I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Piplup with Pachirisu so that we can do the whole run with it. I picked to replace Piplup so that our rival would have Torterra, probably the hardest for us to fight. I name him Pikachu. There was really no other choice. Our nature is quirky for neutral stat gains. I would prefer more special attack, but after restarting quite a few times, this was the one with the overall highest stats, so I figure it's worth sticking with. Our ability is Runaway, and although that's useless in this run, the alternative was Pickup, and that wasn't going to help us in battle anyway. Alright, so we all know this is going to have to be one of those runs where we get to an absurd level early on, because we're an electric type, going up against a rock gym with ground Pokemon. We only learn normal and electric moves by level up, and the electric ones aren't going to work, so we're stuck slowly chipping away at them with Quick Attack. I just don't see us winning that exchange until we are a way higher level than them. I wish we could get a TM to help us, but there aren't any that we can learn this early on. All I can do is keep on leveling and retrying the fight until it looks like it's possible. I'm really hoping that I could squeak out some kind of early win with Bide, but we're not a particularly high health Pokemon in the first place, so it might not really help a ton. I guess at least it's a way to get around their defense buffs in case we ever get in a situation where we're only hitting for 1 damage off Quick Attack. On our way to the Rock Gym, I had to do this first rival fight. This is always easy, but we actually lost about half of our health this time because Turtwig was buffing his defense so much that we couldn't take him down quickly. It wasn't hard though, it was a first try. So I got to the Rock Gym at level 16 after a bit of grinding. I was right to think that Bide would do better than Quick Attack, but it's not enough that it's gonna be an easy win. We can take out Geodude pretty consistently by using one charm then spamming Bide, but we're left in red health so we obviously are not ready to take out Onix right after. I could see us having to be in the mid-level 20s before we can win this. We need a lot more health to burn if we're going to win this with Bide. Alright, so at level 20, I try a few more times. As you can see, sometimes it goes the exact same as before, but sometimes it actually goes pretty well, and we get close to making Onix faint. Onix is actually pretty weak to Bide because Onix is a high defense, low health Pokemon, and Bide bypasses the defense to target the low health directly. That's the same reason for why Bide is not very useful with Onix in Gen 1. It's a terrible Pokemon against Bide and using Bide. Anyway, I'm hoping that somewhere between level 22 and 24, we're gonna have enough health to survive and beat both Onix and Geodude. Then we might be able to one-shot Cranidos with Spark. Let's hope. Well, I forgot about this little run saver of a move. I got to level 22 and learned Swift along the way. I don't know why I didn't think of this, but this is a special move from Gen 4 onward. Because it targets their special defense instead of their regular defense, we actually do a lot more damage with this than we do with Bide. It's still not amazing. They do resist it, but it helps a lot not going after their defense stat. Onyx is still a threat, but eventually we took it down, then Spark did a pretty good job against Cranidos. We had to level a ton, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So we're not where I thought we would be in this run, that's for sure. I figured we'd be in the mid to late 20s by the time we're going to Commander Mars, so I was assuming that it was a free fight. Right now though, I guess I'm not sure. Zubat will be easy, but I don't really know about Perugly. Then we have the Grass Gym where they resist electric moves. Don't really feel great about that either. Really, most of the gyms, I don't have a good feeling about this run. Sinnoh's not a very electric-friendly region, now that I think about it. I mean, other than that we are a good type for fighting Cyrus. That's not for a long time, though. Let's worry about Mars and the Grass Gym. Oh yeah, I hope you guys like my little doodle of a Pachirisu, by the way. I tried coloring in the ears and the head design at first, but it made it look so much worse. I also couldn't get the tooth to look quite right. It kind of looks like a rabbit right now. Maybe I gotta shorten the ears and reshape them a little bit. I'm not sure, I'll keep working on it. I think these little doodles that I do in the Pokemon Platinum runs, I think that's literally the only thing I've drawn in like the last 10 years of my life. Is these doodles in the Platinum runs. Alright, well thankfully Mars ended up being pretty easy. We may not hit all that hard, but being this high of a level with a Pokemon that has decent defense means that we can take quite a few hits. Let's savor this because we're only a 405 base stat Pokemon. Having kinda high defense is not the same as being a tank. So I get to the Grass Gym and right away I'm feeling pretty weak here. Swift isn't doing great damage, and although Turtwig isn't a problem, we take tons of damage on Cherim because of its high special defense and potions letting it last for ages. We make it to Roserade, but we always just lose. I mean, it sucks that we're losing, but I don't really think that it'll take many more levels before we could overpower them. Man, this is tougher than I thought. I leveled to 32, and even on my best run, I could only get a few attacks into the Roserade fight. I find that using Discharge is just as effective as Swift, but it has a chance to paralyze, so it's the better move, but it's still not getting me a win yet. I'm gonna just keep trying for a few more levels. I think maybe a Paralyze or two could get me the win. Alright, 3 levels later and this run was baffling. We just hit the point where we can sometimes two-shot the first 2 Pokemon, making them a lot easier, but we couldn't on Roserade. We learned Super Fang, so I thought that would help, but we instantly missed twice and got paralyzed. Despite our insanely bad luck, we ended up paralyzing her in return once we switched to using Discharge, and somehow we pulled ahead to win the fight. That was crazy. Well, I don't really know what to expect for the next part of the run. Jupiter probably won't be too bad, and I also think the Ghost Gym might not be too bad either, unless we get burned from the start of the fight, which is, you know, very possible. I'm wary though. I'm wondering when our low stats are going to become a problem. Yeah, we're not like sub 300 base stats like we are sometimes with stuff like Shinx, but it's just not a hard-hitting Pokemon. High speed and good defense are our advantages, but we can't one-shot any strong Pokemon without a type advantage. Let's just hope that things go smoothly until I get Thunderbolt, because I can't wait to get my hands on that move. Okay, so Jupiter ended up being super easy to overpower, Discharge is a pretty strong move, and we haven't fallen behind on stats quite yet. I'm not sure how the Ghost Gym is gonna go, though. Alright, this was insane. The Ghost Gym isn't hard at all, and I bet you 9 times out of 10, we'd have an easy time considering how little damage they're doing. But we had the most insanely horrible luck in the world when it came to Sleeping Confusion. We gave them an unreal amount of free hits on us, and we even hit ourselves quite a few times. There's no way we lose like this again on the next try. Okay, case in point, the loss was so much of a fluke that on the next try, we got crit 3 times, and we still won the fight just because we didn't get put to Sleeping Confused. Easy fight. After that is our rival, but we just overpower him too. Really, I don't think that our rival is going to be a serious problem until after Cyrus. We've been breezing through these fights. Let's just go give the fighting gym a try right away. Well, this was much harder. Meditate survived with a sliver, so he got to lower our speed a stage with Rock Tomb before he went down, but the real threat is Lucario. He wasn't doing a ton of damage, but we weren't either, and we just couldn't seem to paralyze him. We took him out in a few hits, but we're in red health by the time he fainted. I'm just happy our Shell Bell was healing us a little bit. Last is Machoke, and it lowered our speed and nearly made us faint with Rock Tomb, but we paralyzed him to keep our speed advantage, and we hardly took him out. That was really close. I think the Paralyze saved us. Alright, I figure that this water gym is actually gonna slow us down. Yeah, we're super effective against most of his team, but he opens with Water Onyx. That means our attack is down from Intimidate, then we have to fight that Quagsire. You'd think it'd be fine because we have Swift, but what if he uses Amnesia? Learning Return might be the right move, but then Intimidate matters if that happens. I'm not really sure how it's gonna go. I know that the rival fight on the way there is at least gonna be easy, but I'm iffy on how the water gym itself is gonna go. I'm sure the Cyrus fight after is gonna be easy. Alright, so we go into the rival fight, and his whole team is easy other than his starter. It's weird, I think he actually threw this fight. He used Withdraw twice, then Razor Leaf twice, but I think if he just used Razor Leaf 4 times, then he would've won. Even if none of them crit, I think we would've fainted as long as none of them missed. Now, is the water gym actually gonna be hard like I think it might be? Huh. Well, it turns out it was actually pretty easy. We lost about half our health, but the Quagsire took a lot more damage than I was expecting, so his team really didn't do all that much to us. I guess I shouldn't be surprised that the water gym went well in an electric run. Cyrus, after that, was really easy, as I figured. Most of his team is weak to electric moves, so it's a quick, easy win. Next is the rival fight that I thought would be really hard. The first one where we fight Torterra. We had a really lucky first run where I got 2 different crits that I think would be required to get the knockouts on those turn, but I still expected to feint to Torterra right away. That's when I realized this is a totally winnable fight. He's using Razor Leaf. That means he doesn't have any ground moves. Now, we lost this run, and that was with good crit luck and him never critting us with Razor Leaf, so I'd probably lose my average try in this fight pretty badly. But I do think that a win is possible without being an unreasonable level. In fact, I might just need a few. Alright, this was crazy. I tried a few times at level 58, and I was losing pretty badly to random crits or just bad luck with move choice. But then we had this run where we crit Torterra with Swift after using Super Fang and ended up knocking it out easily. Then we took out his last Pokemon and quickly won the fight. I mean, that was cool, but I figured that I'm doomed in a moment. Alright, this first try at the Steel Gym was a best case scenario, so it's a great example to show you of just how this fight goes. With Dig, we can easily take out Magneton, but Steelix is pretty much unbeatable at this stage of the game. Even with the great luck of him using Sandstorm while we were underground instead of him using Earthquake, and us critting that Dig, we couldn't take him out. He spams Earthquake after the first turn, and that 2-shots us. It would one-shot us if we were underground. That means we have to rely on Swift, and it's just so insanely weak, but it's still better than if we were to replace it with Return and go after the high defense of Steelix. This was the battle in my Shinx run that made me hit level 100 just to make progress. I don't think it's going to be quite that bad this time, but it wouldn't surprise me if I need to be close to level 70 or 75 to win. So I tried a few times at level 65, and I see a path to taking out Steelix. If I hit 2 Super Fangs, then a Swift, I can nearly get a knockout. Now, it never works, and he always fully heals back up, but it probably wouldn't take forever before we could knock him out this way. We'd probably still lose right after Bastiodon, but I want to make some progress. Man, this is insane. When you look at this strategy and how it plays out at level 70, it's a 1-pixel sliver that he survives with. I'm gonna get 2 levels and try again. No way he doesn't faint. Alright, 5 tries at level 72 and we kept leaving him with a sliver, so I got up to level 75 and we finally took him out. Bastiodon at the end was kinda hard because he has so much defense, and he loves using Iron Defense on top of that and then healing back up. But we have a double type advantage with Dig, so we still took him out. You know what? I kind of feel good about the next part of the run. There's 2 Cyrus fights where we should have a pretty easy time, and an electric gym that we resist. Plus, we have Dig, so I don't think that the electric gym could be too bad. The ice gym, I'm not really sure. I think both Abomasnow and Frostlass could be problems, but probably not anything too crazy. We're already a high level and can probably overpower a decent amount of his team. Let's try and breeze through these next few fights so that we can get to our rival and the Elite Four. I think those are going to be a lot harder. Alright, well the Ice Gym was a lot harder than I thought. Even after learning Thunderbolt for a better move, we always get stalled out on either Piloswine or Abomasnow. The hail damage really builds up on us, and we take so many hits that we eventually always lose. I don't think we're many levels away from beating both of them in one less hit though, and that would make a huge difference. Maybe I'll just learn Return and see if that saves us. Okay, there we go. Return let us beat both of them in one less hit, so we really easily got to Frostlass and one-shot her. Let's go try those Cyrus fights. Well, the first one of those two Cyrus fights went amazingly. We took so little damage that we ended up fully healing from our Shell Bell before the fight was over. The double battle on the mountain went about how it usually does. Munchlax was a completely useless partner. The Bronzors like using Light Screen and Reflect, and a lot of this fight is just stalling until they went away and then slowly picking them off. It wasn't hard, just really slow. After that was the last Cyrus fight, but we can one-shot the Houndoom at the start with Dig, and the whole rest of his team is really easy with Thunderbolt. It's funny how one decent electric type can usually mop the floor with Cyrus. If I don't have an electric move though, Cyrus is one of the hardest fights of the game. After that is the electric gym, but as expected, Dig made really short work of his whole team. Feels good to have a smooth late game like this. Alright, we're on our way to the last rival fight in the Elite Four. I figure this rival fight is going to be pretty hard. Ground types are a pretty big deal any time that we run into them, and I figure Torterra is going to be a pretty tough one. I figure that I'm going to need to learn Grass Knot for this Bertha fight anyway. Maybe I should just learn it early and try it on Torterra. It does damage based on how heavy the opponent is, and I figured that Torterra has gotta be pretty heavy. I'll try the fight normally first and just see how things work out. I'm gonna just try the fight and see how things work out. Alright, rival time. Right away, Staraptor is a one-shot with Thunderbolt, but second is Torterra. His Earthquake did a ton of damage, but thankfully, Grass Knot was hitting pretty hard, so we got a two-shot. Snorlax was harder though. He's got Earthquake as well, and he's really tanky. Thankfully, he couldn't handle a bunch of Thunderbolts while he was resting, so he went down. Heracross was a two-shot, so he got close combat in before he went down, but after that is Floatzel, who's a one-shot. Last is Rapidash, but he's also a one-shot. We got the win. Now that we're at the Elite Four, let's take a look at our stats. I mean, I hate how low our special attack is, but at least we're pretty fast and kinda tanky. I don't like that we're already level 84, and I'm paranoid that Garchomp at the end is gonna be a brick wall, but I still think it's possible. Thunderbolt will be good enough for Aaron, Grass Knot for Bertha, Dig for Flint, and we can probably just Thunderbolt our way through Lucian as well. I'm sure we'll need to be a higher level before we can win, but I think that we stand a good chance. Make your final guesses on if we can win this or not. Let's do this. First is Bug Trainer Aaron. Well, this is the one that I figured might be a little hard since some of his team isn't weak to electricity, and although it was a first try win, we took quite a bit of damage. We've been tanky enough to survive a few extra hits in most of the run. I don't know if we're going to be tanky enough to be taking shots in the Elite Four. Second is Ground Trainer Bertha. I tried this fight a bunch of times and it goes the exact same way every time. We one-shot sweep her entire team until Gliscor at the very end, who's really tanky. Return does the most damage, but between the non-stop sandstorm from earlier in the fight and him using Earthquake, we just hardly faint when we're about to finish him off. All I can do is level up a little bit and try again. Well, I got up to level 90, and thanks to a crit causing him to full restore, we nearly lost the same way again. Thankfully, the incredibly slightly more health saved us from sandstorm damage, and we just hardly got the knockout and won the fight. Third is Fire Trainer Flint. As expected though, this was pretty easy with Dig. It didn't do them any favors that we were doing strange stuff like Sunny Day into Solar Beam. I get it, it lets you do Solar Beam without charging, but there's no way it's gonna do as much damage as just using Sunny Day and then a fire move. Fourth is Psychic Trainer Lucian. Honestly, this one was crazy easy. The only reason they even did a bunch of damage to us was them getting lucky with a crit. Otherwise, this is an easy first try. I figure that the Elite Four might not be too bad, but that was weirdly easy. I can't imagine that the Pokemon Champion is going to be easy, though. Finally, the Pokemon Champion Cynthia. This was unbelievable. We take out Spiritomb, then instantly have the luckiest fight with Garchomp of all time. It nearly made us faint with Earthquake, but we crit it, she used a Flamethrower for no reason, when Earthquake would have made us faint. Then she misses 2 Dragon Rushes. And even with all of that insane luck, we still lost. Considering she has an entire team left, I think it's safe to say that we need to hit max level now. So I tried this fight over and over and over. Things in the Garchomp fight are a little random, but what's consistent is how much damage we do. Unless we crit, we're gonna make her use a full restore, and then we're gonna faint. I can do a Grass Knot to intentionally do less damage to get around full restore, but we still faint every time because of giving her an extra attack. Eventually, on one very lucky run, she fainted and we got to Melodic. It survived a hit just to hit us with Surf, and then full restore, and then we took it out in 2 hits. Next is Togekiss, but somehow we left it with a Sliver, so it hit us too, nearly knocking us out. We took it out, but Roserade right after finishes us off. I'll try it a dozen more times, but I really don't have a good feeling about our chances here. So I kept trying the fight, and after another 4 or 5 tries, I got this one where Garchomp went down early thanks to a crit. Lucario was second and survived a hit and full restored, so we took a bit of damage before we finished it off. Togekiss still isn't a one-shot, so we take a hit from Aura Sphere, and yet again we got crit by it, so our health is very low as he fainted. Melodic was a one-shot this time though, so no getting hit by Surf, and we healed a good amount of health with our Shell Bell. Roserade is last, and it still got to hit us with Sludge Bomb, but we survived with red health, so we were able to take her out and finally win the fight. That's another run done with a Pokemon that I've never used before, and it was a fun time. I didn't exactly come away from this as a huge fan of Pachirisu, but at least I'm gonna remember that it's a reasonably tanky little solo form Pokemon now. I really hope you guys like that run. The next Pokemon challenge will be up next week on Saturday like usual with Pokemon Black. With something. I'm not sure yet, I'm still figuring that out. As always, I'm looking at your suggestions in the comments in the challenge quest section of my Discord channel and on Twitter. Subscribe, ring the bell, stay tuned. Outro time, I've got this one recorded so much earlier than the last couple. I remember the challenge that would have went up like two challenges ago, it didn't have early enough viewing for my tastes, and I was able to get the one after it up like a few days earlier than usual, and that was nice. This time, if I can get this whole edit done today, then I can get this challenge up, like almost 2 weeks early? I think it's a week and 5 days early if I can get this whole thing edited and uploaded tonight. So I am really gonna try and get that done so that those of you and the YouTube members and the Patreon pledgers, I guess it's just the patrons, you guys are gonna get this one super early. And in fact, there's an extra person who's gonna get it well, several extra people, because a few people signed up in the last week, but one signed up to the $50 supporter shoutout tier. So, real quick, the $50 supporter shoutout tier: Jacob Busby, Javid Kusro, Grayson Fitz, Tara Luis, Dark Soul, Young Smoky VP, Gabriel Thornton, Hernandez Punchdick, the -1, and the new one, Man Spider. Thank you everybody so much for your continued support. It's always very important. Helps keep the show running smoothly and all of that. And speaking of it running smoothly, I need to go edit this so fast. I slept in a bunch today. I didn't have a very good night's sleep, so I slept in a bunch. But the nice thing about working from home and being your own boss is it doesn't matter when the work hours occur. All that matters is that you get all the work hours in during the, I guess 1 week time limit, because I'm making one of these every single week, right? So it doesn't necessarily, I can't sleep in and then not get as much work done because of it. That's not a thing when you work from home. At least if you don't have specific hours, like I don't have specific hours. So it's just wake up at whatever time I wake up, put the hours in. Now that said, it is past 5. Normally, I wake up way earlier than this, and I feel like garbage today, so I look forward on getting to sleep much earlier tonight. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.